Sports Podcast. This is the UntiedJordans Podcast. My name is Jordan Mosley. Along here with my co-host.
Happy Merry Christmas, everyone. Steven Untie here, helping out Jordan and trying to make y'all a little more knowledgeable on your sports and reach out with a message.
Facts. Hope everybody's having a good morning, man. First in a shout out, just everybody. Holiday season. Hope your holiday season's going well so far. I hope it's very, very productive so far. Things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Everybody waiting for next week to get paid. So
we actually had
if you ain't did it by now, then that's on you, man. But,
we actually had our Christmas thing yesterday, man, and it's crazy. The house I grew up in, double wide with a room built onto it.
Yeah.
5 brothers and sisters. 12 nieces and nephews in that house yesterday, man. It's a mad house, so I'm just glad to be out of there. A little more relaxed environment today. And I got to watch football, a bunch of kids screaming around.
I got you. I ain't mad at it. This, before we go any further with this episode, episode 7 today is dedicated to Lance McDowell. He was a defensive tackle, nose guard for the Arizona Rattlers. The Jacksonville Sharks, played in a little bit in the original UFL, Central Florida grad, Central Florida standout defensive tackle. He was gunned down this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken, out in Phoenix, Arizona. Took the report for ABC 15 out of Phoenix. And the Arizona Rattlers went on ahead to release a comment about it, saying that he was definitely definitely played with leadership, definitely played with a lot of game, a lot of class, a lot of passion. I had the opportunity to compete against Lance a couple times personally. Great dude, great personality, a lot of flavor about him. He was a New York guy, so he was always about looking the part, things of that nature. But one thing I can speak to him about, remembering about him on the field, was just the aspect of just how nimble he was. How just a dancing bear, hard guy to block. So Lance McDowell, rest in peace, man. See you again one of these days, my boy, down the road, man. Catch you on the 50-yard turf in the sky, my boy. Just wanted to put that out there. Jumping right into it, last Monday, the New Orleans Saints against the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts basically laid down, but that's not really obviously the case or the point of the whole situation. Is Drew Brees finishing the night. I think he finished with 542 on the evening.
Oh, no, he's 29 for 30, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Breaks Peyton Manning's all-time touchdown record.
As well as the 96.3% completion percentage, which was the record for single completion
So sad.
percentage in a game.
The only record Phillip Rivers held.
Yeah. So much for Phillip Rivers. He can't even He can't even hear the calls in his own stadium. They should be ashamed of themselves out in Los Angeles for that, Chargers fans.
They should be ashamed of putting that team in a soccer stadium and not selling out every week. That's crazy.
At the end of the day, they should just be ashamed for the fact of moving them from San Diego. That's probably the worst thing they possibly could have done, in my personal opinion. With that, segueing into Saturday, here we go. This past Saturday, the New England Patriots, the Houston Texans, and the San Francisco 49ers were all winners. The San Francisco 49ers had arguably one of the best games of the weekend, playing against and defeating the Los Angeles Rams. The most pivotal point of that game was the Fred Warner interception that took place right before the half. Big-time backbreaker for Jared Goff and the LA Rams offense. Todd Gurley that night also tied the record for most rushing touchdowns in a season, tying the mark of, I think, 74 with Marshall Faulk, if I'm not mistaken. Can you get that on air light for me a bit, Dog?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
And from there...
So you're saying your first 5 seasons?
Yeah. Okay. Say that again?
Your first 5 seasons, he has the most touchdowns?
No. I said he tied the record for the most touchdowns all time in St. Louis, all time in LA Rams history.
Gotcha.
He tied with Marshall Faulk 74. So if I said that, guys, my apologies, I misspoke. From there, the Houston Texans, they defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-20. Jameis Winston, what's the word I'm looking for? Jameis Winston threw an interception. He threw either an interception or a pick six, or on the first play of the game.
Oh, it was a pick six. Roby took that to the house.
Okay, cool. So he threw a pick six for the first time, because I want to make sure I didn't get the stat wrong. He threw a pick six for the very first time, for the 4th time this season, on the first throw of the game.
I don't know what to do with him, man. It's like, stop calling out routes for this guy, because if you call a seam, he seems to hit the guy.
I agree. You know what's funny about that? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers also don't know what they want to do with him either. This is what I mean. I was laughing with my roommate about this as the news came out the other day. So they, as of Friday, they decided to pick up his fifth-year option. As of Saturday evening, they don't know what they want to do with Jameis Winston. And this came directly from the horse's mouth post-game press conference from Bruce Arians, their head coach. He's saying that they don't really know right now what they want to do with Jameis. So that makes a lot of sense. The New England Patriots, well, I mean, he's very enigmatic. He's an enigma.
He don't. It's so weird, man. He puts on 2 back-to-back all-time performances. I know he threw the weekend threw an interception last week, but right. I mean, just 4 touchdowns, 450 yards back-to-back games. That's never happened.
Right. Well, the thing of it is this: his play caller in Tampa Bay is Byron Leftwich. So shame on you, first of all. Second of all, you take a guy like Bruce Arians, who was a quarterback whisperer to a brother named Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh for a long
Carson
time.
Palmer in Arizona.
Exactly. So it's not. I don't think it's Bruce Arians. I don't think it's Jameis. Maybe Byron Leftwich needs to be removed, or maybe Bruce Arians needs to take over. Play calling.
You would think with a guy like Bruce Arians, he would have hired a little bit more experienced offensive coordinator.
This is the thing.
But it could be he wants that control.
Well, this is the thing. I doubt it's about control because Byron Leftwich isn't that kind of guy as far as like being an employee in the league from people that I know to speak about Byron Leftwich personally. But on top of that, like it's very difficult to find people in that position to come do that, to come coach and coach at the NFL level and be able to deal with the rigors and the stressors of it all. Byron Leftwich is one of the younger, more hotshot offensive coaches in professional football nowadays. It's not showing, but per se, like the opinion of other older tenured coaches with more clout in the NFL, that's the opinion that they have on Byron. So that's probably what led him to get in the position in Tampa Bay.
I think their offense hasn't looked bad at all. I mean, they're putting up, I think, the 3rd most points in the league this year.
Their O-line, to me, is still very patchwork.
It is. They're not keeping Jameis upright the whole game. But I think it's on Jameis to just make better positions or better reads or I mean, you can't throw 20 or I think he's at 29 interceptions or 30 interceptions now. It's
absolutely ridiculous.
It's not a way to win a game.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly, absolutely ridiculous.
And with a defense like that and a coach like that, they can win games.
Right, but I mean, they're out the playoffs, so I can really care less. The New England Patriots, they defeated another playoff team, the Buffalo Bills. They defeated the Buffalo Bills on Saturday. It's Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and then the New England offense. It kind of takes me back to the days of the Temptations movie when it said, my name is David Ruffin and these are the Temptations. That's pretty much how Julian Edelman can go about speaking to his presence versus the presence of everybody else on the offense. For the New England Patriots, mine is Sony Michel and James White. So if you look at it for the playoffs, you got 2 running backs. You got Rex Burkhead, who's going to run hard. You have apparently Elandon Roberts, who's now your new X factor on offense because he's a linebacker that's now converted to fullback. And you have Tom Brady, who is one of only 2, who is I can think of the only current player that's been named to the All 100 team. He was named to the quarterback list yesterday, along with his childhood idol Joe Montana. But with that being said, you have Tom Brady. You have Julian Edelman, and then you have a cast of characters with a relatively good offensive line. They don't have the best offensive line in their conference. I don't think. You could say Buffalo has a better O-line, so I don't even think they have the best O-line in their division.
I mean, I think that's a little. Him and Brady, Josh Allen and Brady play such a different style. I think Allen can make up for a little more O-line mistakes because he's elusive and he has that. I wouldn't say elusive, but he has the. Kind of like Cam Newton. He knows how to get out of a situation and he's athletic. Right. But about Landon Roberts, the interesting thing about this guy, man, the only guy to play more than 100 snaps on defense and offense in almost 40 years.
New England also has a relatively great OC that I think can piece this together.
Oh, absolutely.
And the reason why I bring up the Josh McDaniels situation is the Josh McDaniel variable is because of the fact that Josh McDaniels can take such a little bit amount of product and make so much of an abundance to feed so much with small amount of product. Absolutely. Now picture this. N'Keal Harry, Philip Dorsett, Mohamed Sanu, Julian Edelman all wake up from here on out. And they all, like, Julian Edelman's balling. But those first 3 guys I named get off the schneid. They wake up. The offensive line comes together and gets even more continuity because it's been a pretty much the same unit week to week. Outside of maybe a little bit of a discrepancy at center. And then on top of that, you get James White, you get Rex Burkhead, and you got Sony Michel. So it could be a sleeping giant.
Exactly. Was yesterday,
or it could be a hibernating bear that's not going to wake up.
Was yesterday? That's the question. Was yesterday the aberration from what they've been playing like the last month and a half, 2 months, or at least what Brady's been
yesterday
playing
was
like?
Yesterday was just a direct reflection of what they look like right now.
That's what I'm saying. Or is it okay? We're hitting our stride and we're going to go into the playoffs looking like the Patriots.
And the example that I could best present in relation to what's going on with, or why I brought it to Josh McDaniels, look at his time as the head coach in Denver, what he did with a brother named Tim Tebow.
I agree with you, man. I think
he won a playoff game with Tim Tebow. Everybody, I'm just saying.
Demaryius Thomas, first play from overtime. With that, Josh McDaniels, man, he's so confusing to me. Like, the guy clearly has earned a head coaching spot with what
Josh
he's done.
McDaniels is not confusing to me at all. Josh McDaniels is a person who's showing me the value of loyalty.
No. That's not. I don't mean personality-wise. I mean.
I'm not talking personality either. I'm speaking in relation to his job.
That's what I'm saying. What I mean is there's no timeline for when Belichick's going to be done, and he is the coach in waiting, and he's willing to do that.
I definitely don't think that Josh McDaniels went back to New England to turn down what he turned down in Indianapolis to end up being the head coach there. I think he's trying to milk what it is. He's trying to milk the cow that is Tom Brady. And he's trying to get the most he can out of being able to deal with an otherworldly talent. He'll run into another great coach to work for, like Bill Belichick, before he'll ever run into Tom Brady again. Period. That's just how I feel about that.
I disagree.
Well, I guess we got a lot of cover, so I guess amongst men we have to agree to disagree. That being said, segueing to some more just NFL little hot points, I guess, if you will. Tom Coughlin out in Jacksonville. Great choice, Jacksonville. I definitely vehemently despise Tom Coughlin. I don't mind saying that on sports media. Mike Thomas, he gave the whole entire team Air Jordan 11s before he went out on Sunday and finished the game with 145 catches on the season, which is a new record for receptions in a total season overall. Broke Marvin Harrison's record that was set, I want to say, 2003? 2003, yeah. I wouldn't say 02 or 03. I wasn't sure. I wouldn't say
2005. It's early 2000s.
Okay, cool. So I want to say like 03 or something like that. But
I just want to. What's even more impressive about this record, man? Marvin Harrison did it with other weapons on the team. Did it with other receivers that are going to take. And he did it with Peyton Manning, who notoriously spread the ball around, right? And which Drew Brees does too. But I haven't seen a game where Michael Thomas isn't double-teamed the majority of the game this year and still is, making it look easy, for lack of a better word.
That's exactly why you can't guard Mike.
You can't. He said it. He told us on his Twitter. He said, can't guard Mike.
On Twitter, you can't guard me, brother, and it's proof. It's
Fast.
145. I have 145 reasons to show you why you cannot guard me.
Not just that, with a game to go.
Not even that. Did you see the route that he ran to get the record on Logan Ryan? How can I explain this really fast? He stemmed it inside, which means he tried to get inside. He tried to get inside, then he ran his route. Then he went inside and pivoted back outside. That's the best way I can explain this without being in too much detail. He catches the ball, gives him a mean-ass stiff arm, and then he goes and scores the ball. Like, just in that small microcosm of the patience of the route, of the patience of running that route, to the work ethic that he puts in to be able to do what he need to do athletically, training wise, to get off that guy, to then catch that ball and make that play, and then be a dog, be that type of a dog, that type of alpha dog to go finish you, to go make a play. In a microcosm, that's exactly why, in one play, why Michael Thomas is the best receiver in football. And he averages 8 grabs a game, like 8.3 or something like that, like statistically down to the decimal or something.
That's for his career, I believe, too. But he's just incredible. Between him, Devontae Adams are the best route runner.
Right.
Him and DeAndre Hopkins have the best hands.
Right.
It's like every discussion you want to have about a great receiver trait, except for speed. He's not the quickest or fastest. He's quick.
And by the way, as intricate of a route as that was, he ran all over Ryan. It was just a 5-yard out.
Yeah, it's just an out.
Oh, speaking of receivers.
But he puts that head fake on you, and you're like,
facts.
What?
And speaking of receivers, the Dallas Cowboys lost that game yesterday because they didn't have Des Bryant.
Well, 4th and 8, Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb aren't on the field. You have 3 timeouts. If you don't get this play, it doesn't matter.
Be that as it may,
that's crazy to me.
Every single questionable football that was thrown by Dak Prescott would have been caught by Des Bryant that got dropped by Amari Cooper yesterday. Every single questionable ball that was thrown to Michael Gallup yesterday by Dak Prescott, who was already hurt and in a position that he was under siege in Dallas, trying to fight for $40 million, which I don't think he should get. So y'all need to cut that out.
I agree.
But with that being said, also is a position where, you know, he definitely had to. How can I say this? He definitely his presence would have been so much more felt. You know what I mean?
If his receivers were making plays for him.
Well, you're segueing my point. Exactly. That's why you need Des Bryant.
6 drops in one game.
Des Bryant has 74 touchdowns in his career.
So it's not a long career.
Des Bryant wouldn't have allowed a lot of those plays that didn't get made yesterday to have not been made on his watch. That's another thing about Des Bryant. Des Bryant is big on accountability.
I think
he's a big accountability
He's
guy.
perfect for Dak, too. Because what Des was great at, he was kind of Michael Thomas-esque, not quite as talented, or maybe more talented, but not quite the route runner, which matters so much when you're talking catches. Des Bryant, down the field in a jump ball, he's Calvin Johnson. The dude came down with those jump balls better than...
This is the thing. He's not even Calvin Johnson. And I'm not knocking. I'm about to piggyback on that comment because I'm glad you said that over anything else you could have said. It's not he's Calvin Johnson. He's just Des Bryant. He's a jump ball guy.
That's his thing. That's his
I'm going to violently approach catching this ball more violently than you're going to approach catching this ball, and we'll see what happens.
You just watch him muscle cornerbacks out of the way. Like, dude, you're too little, man. Like,
I agree.
Weight room, dude.
I agree.
I beat up my own mama. I'm a savage. You ain't getting this ball over me.
I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. A couple little tidbits, just of things that happened on Sunday that I thought it was really, a couple were really dope and a couple of them were really dumb. Nyheim Hines, your guy.
Woo!
2 punt return touchdowns. This is the first time it's happened, I think, since like sometime in the early 2000s. Somebody had 2 punt return touchdowns in a game. So, you know.
I played against him at Gardner High School, my sophomore and senior year. The dude's a monster. He was untackleable in high school. And the thing is, he's smaller than I am. He's 5'11" tops. And in high school, he was maybe 165, and he was trucking everyone on our team. Our nose guard comes off the field. He goes, man, I can't get him on the ground.
Right.
And now it's NFL players going, I just can't get him on the ground.
Now in the same game. Now one thing I will say, because he's a running back, he looks so natural running punts. He made like one cut, and he just did what running backs do and go score football. Vernon Butler, defensive tackle from your beloved Carolina Panthers, Charlotteans. He punched Jack Doyle in the face yesterday. Kind of really boneheaded play, then he proceeds to flick off to give the bird to the fans on the way out. So I thought that was ridiculously stupid. I didn't think that made a lot of sense.
On his way out of Carolina?
Not necessarily. He was a first-round draft pick out of Louisiana Tech 3 years ago, so we'll see. But I feel
like the Panthers are one of those, and it could have been Riverboat that's been that way, but they're one of those organizations that tries to put character first a little bit more, like getting rid of Greg Hardy and things like that.
You had to get rid of Greg Hardy.
I
He
agree.
threw his girlfriend on a couch full of like
guns.
Semi-automatic guns. That's not even. This is child's play compared to Greg Hardy.
Oh, absolutely.
I get what you're saying.
Like they try to be a standout organization.
Let me be clear. They got rid of Greg Hardy in a different organization, so this will be very interesting to see what David Tepper will do the very first time that he gets a chance to slap somebody on the wrist. Because David Tepper has not had this is a foreign situation to David Tepper right now. Absolutely. So we'll see how he handles that in Carolina. I think that'll be interesting, but more specifically, you need to handle your quarterback situation because Will Grier looked terrible yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game, so I'm pretty sure he looked terrible because they didn't do anything on offense.
It was bad.
Y'all let me know the final score of the Carolina Panthers game versus the Carolina Panthers versus Indianapolis Colts yesterday. You tell me what you see in the box score. I looked. I'm not telling you. I'm asking y'all to do that. Y'all go see how bad Will Grier played today.
For these Charlotte fans, let's talk about the one bright spot real quick for the Panthers. CMC.
Right. 13. Now he had 13 carries yesterday, but he had 15 receptions.
109 catches on the season.
He reset his own receptions record by a running back.
Yep. He's the only one to have 100 catches in back-to-back seasons. The only running back to have multiple seasons of 100 catches.
Christian McCaffrey is the new LT.
I mean, he is, man. It gives all white running backs in the high school right now so much hope.
I agree. He's definitely the new LT for sure.
There's a chance.
Speaking of white running backs, I had an opportunity and a pleasure to coach a white running back along with some other running backs, along with a whole lot of really great offensive linemen and defensive linemen and things of that nature. I had the opportunity this past weekend to coach in the 2019 FCS Division I AA Senior Bowl. I went out there and coached the offensive line.
I didn't congratulate you on that yet, man. That's people don't realize how hard it is to break into coaching and break into those things because it's such a clip, right?
Facts.
And for people, that want to do things like that, you get your opportunity at these events like this, and I think. I'm proud of you showing out, buddy.
I appreciate it, my boy. I appreciate it wholeheartedly. Speaking of coaching moves, Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland. I think everything is going to survive in Cleveland, but Freddie Kitchens, and I'm gonna just leave it alone at that. I know we didn't talk about that preemptively in our staff meeting this morning, preemptive to going live, but I'm really good on Freddie Kitchens. I'll give you year 2, Freddie, but if this doesn't look good by week 8 next year, y'all need to get a new coach because Freddie Kitchens ain't it. I'm just saying.
I agree. I say go ahead and kick him out the door now.
I
say I don't want to wait till the middle of the next season when hope's lost again.
Give him 2 years. Give him to week.
I think you should OBJ out.
Give him to week 4, 2020. And no, you should not get rid.
I'm not saying he's not he's a generational talent.
Eventually, somebody's going to get Odell Beckham Jr. in their locker room. He's never going to leave. He's going to have an amazing career. Not y'all. I'm saying y'all, as in you're taking the position of a Cleveland fan right now in this argument. Y'all should definitely keep OBJ. Because potentially OBJ and Jarvis Landry could be Jake Reed and Chris Carter in the 90s before Randy Moss.
Okay. I can see that. No, and that's what I was going to say is I personally, if I'm building a team, I'm building my wide receiver core around a guy like Jarvis. Now, I know OBJ's much more talented.
You know who's somewhere having a...
To me, Jarvis is the toughest dude in the league.
You know who's somewhere having a pina colada in the Bahamas today? Because I know the NFL guys don't like to be in no-cold city during the season.
Tom Coughlin?
Nah, Hugh Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Hugh Jackson's having a pina colada in the Bahamas right now with his wife golfing.
He's texting Freddie Kitchen every 10 minutes. You having fun up there, buddy?
Nah, he's texting he's texting Marvin Lewis you see how they want to hate on the player? You see how they want to hate on the player, Marvin? It's all right because when Marvin Lewis pops back up in the NFL as the head coach next year and Hugh Jackson's his offensive coordinator and QB coach, y'all see then.
What's an organization in disarray just fired their coach?
The Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Doesn't Marvin Lewis sound like a Panthers move to you, man?
Marvin Lewis makes a lot of sense to me in Carolina because he has the closest thing that Marvin Lewis ever had to coaching ever had to coaching Ray Lewis is right there in Carolina. He wears 59. Yep. So good luck with that if he takes that job. I like Marvin Lewis down there. And the thing is,
defensively,
and
he's rough.
Facts, but be that as it may, be that as it is. But another thing that I'm thinking about is this. David Tepper's a Steelers guy. You think David Tepper don't know that Marvin Lewis has been a thorn in their side the whole entire time he was in the AFC North? Not saying the Bengals were that great, but Marvin Lewis had some very, very competitive Bengals teams against the Steelers in the time when David Tepper was a minority owner for the Steelers.
Now, I haven't heard these names. I can't confirm anything. But I feel like Marvin Lewis and Mike McCarthy should be at the top of everyone's list because their track records are great, man. I think track record's cool, but I'm not putting Mike McCarthy can't be on the top of my list. You just royally destroyed a relationship with arguably the most talented quarterback in the NFL. I don't need you on my team. I don't need you doing that for my quarterback. But his style will work if you don't have the most talented quarterback in the league. Does that make sense? So if he coaches somewhere Carolina, running game is what McCarthy wants.
To me that doesn't make a lot of sense because we've never seen Mike McCarthy with an average quarterback. We've only seen him with AR-12.
I mean, yeah.
Fair enough.
We saw him with Brett Hundley and Matt Flynn for a little bit, but
who's not Aaron Rodgers, my point.
At all.
So, my Philadelphia Eagles. I'll take this out for y'all. Hey, man, y'all see what's going on, man. Yes, I have on an orange Nike Excuses Shut, Nike running tee. But yeah, man, my Eagles, man. We're not playing with y'all boys, man. We're not playing with y'all folk today, man. I told y'all I was gonna act up a little bit on the man. Not playing with y'all folk, man. Not playing with nobody out here, man.
I don't know if I should scoot out of the system
you
before
good.
I say this.
You good, man. I'm riding with Carson Wentz. I'm going off for a second. I'm riding with Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? My boy Miles Sanders, big boy Miles, ran like a big dog yesterday. Shout out to O-line, shout out to D-line, the defense. Sidney Jones, our sixth defensive back. He was a healthy scratch for 7 weeks this year. Came in there, made a play. Shout out to my Philadelphia Eagles, man. We hurt. It's cool. I ain't worried about it. We gonna figure it out, man. Shout out to my Philadelphia Eagles, man.
That's fine.
Philly. This is the only time I'm gonna swear today. Don't fuck it off against New York next week. And I'm sorry, y'all, because y'all know me. I try to keep my word, but
that's essentially what I was gonna say,
man. Don't mess it up against New York next week, Philly. Come on, man. This is why I do a sport podcast instead of radio. I would have got beeped out this morning, but I was gonna say that regardless. Don't mess it up next week, man.
All season, Dallas and Philly.
Nah. Dallas is still doing this.
Philly
doing one of these.
Wentz has been playing better.
We on the up and up, Jack. I don't know what y'all talking about. We on the up and up, sir. I know what we doing. You know what I'm saying?
Dallas plays at home next week. Philly doesn't. I got Dallas in the playoffs, unfortunately.
Man.
Because I'd much rather see, if I'm a Packers fan, I'd much rather face the Eagles this year than Dallas.
I feel you. I can go for that. Let's go. Let's take it to the Oakland Raiders here for a second, since we're talking about teams trying to do things in the playoffs and teams who are kind of in disarray. The Oakland Raiders, they won yesterday, so they had 4 things take place for them yesterday for that to do what needed to be done. So now going forward, they need the Ravens to beat the Steelers. They have to beat the Broncos.
Yep.
They need a strength of schedule or strength of win from another team. It's like one of 4 teams. It's like
Tennessee has to lose to Houston.
Tennessee has to lose to Houston. That's another lock thing that has to happen. And then the 4th variable was 4 other NFL teams. If they win, it'll help them. It'll help their strength of schedule per the fact that they played somebody. I think these are 4 teams that are out of division that Tennessee played in their schedule earlier in the year that will have a better record at the end of week 17 that will help Tennessee make the playoffs. I had to explain that for the listeners out there. So for those who don't know what I mean by that. It's a trip. So
Tennessee loses, they can still get in if Oakland and Pittsburgh lose too, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Now here's my thing with Oakland, man. I kind of want to see him in the playoffs.
Shout out to Hunter Renfrow.
I kind of want to see him in the playoffs, man. I don't think they'll go far.
I want to see Oakland in the playoffs just because of the fact that I want to be able to prove in barbershop talk and stuff like that the John Gruden experiment works.
Yeah,
that's what I'm in it for. I want to be able to show people that the John Gruden experiment is a real thing and it works.
Yeah,
you know. And
I almost think he should get coach of the. I know it sounds crazy because they might be 7-9, but between him and Mike Tomlin, man, I've been so impressed with the job they're doing this year.
Here goes a fast coach of the year on the fly. Mike Tomlin, John Gruden,
McDermott,
Sean McDermott. Facts. I can go for those 3.
And with Gruden, man, what's so impressive? Absolutely, you got okay. An all-time defensive end. It looks like by the end of his career, he's been super healthy. And Khalil Mack. Bye-bye. I want assets. Right. Amari Cooper, another guy. Damn it, my bad. Another guy that looks like he could be an all-timer. He's got to straighten out these drops. He's been doing it since Oakland, but he puts up numbers. And then, of course...
I bet they wish they let Antonio Brown find his helmet now.
Exactly. Antonio Brown, who I've said on this before, I think is the best receiver I've ever seen with my eyes. And that includes the great one.
Philly, man. Let's go, Philly.
He loses him. So he's throwing to Tyrell, who's been hurt all season. He's throwing to Hunter Renfrow, like you said, a rookie slot receiver who's looked great. And then a couple other guys. Darren Waller's a beast. I'm not gonna lie.
Darren Waller is
a great story.
Darren Waller is the most positively mercurial tight end in the NFL right now. Little SAT word for y'all for the day. This is what I mean by that, to be positively mercurial. That means your temperature is consistently rising at this type of rate. You know what I'm saying? They put mercury in thermostats in apartments and in homes. So that's where the energy comes from.
I like that. He's a super athlete. I mean, the dude's faster than just about every linebacker.
6'6", 4'5", 40, coming out of Georgia Tech, played receiver straight line. He was supposed to be a Demarius.
Who is the tight end scout for the Ravens?
Well, the former
he drafted him too.
You got to think about it. The tight end scout of the Ravens is his former GM, Ozzie Newsome.
Okay, that's
who finds tight ends for
the greatest. Yeah. I mean, Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst.
Who should have been on the NFL All-100 team. Put Ozzie Newsome on the All-NFL 100 tight end team. If you're going to put people on the NFL All-100 team because of the fact that they were great players, you got to put them in there because they were great people too. Ozzie Newsome is the reason why the Baltimore Ravens are great right now. Just simply because of that, amongst other things he did for that franchise, only for that one franchise. Never showed his loyalty anywhere else. He should definitely have been on that list. Another robbery of the NFL All-100 list. Terrell Owens to the receivers. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself, media people.
What is going on?
Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all got to cut that out now.
If I'm not mistaken, he's top 5 in yards.
He's top 3
or
4
in catches.
Yards, catches,
and number 2 in touchdowns.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
What are we doing here? I don't.
T.O. just spoke his mind, and he gets his ass whooped.
I want to say something I've heard here, multiple sources. Okay, I have heard from multiple players that are gone now that say T.O. showed up for every practice, every game, did his job, blocked when he didn't want to block, when the ball wasn't coming to him. Randy Moss didn't.
Terrell Owens.
These are facts. He gave up for an entire season in Oakland.
Terrell Owens is one of the greatest teammates in the history of the NFL.
That's all I've ever heard.
The only way, this is the reason why people wonder why T.O. get a bad rap, but people also wonder why I hate Donovan McNabb. T.O. wanted to be the friend. This is an untold story, if you will. T.O. They came to T.O. and the franchise said, look, T.O., we want you to be the face. You're beating Donovan in jersey sales, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Donovan gets wind of it. He goes to the front office, and he has a whole entire problem. He has a whole entire falling out. Oh, my God, they don't want him to be better than me. And it's a whole thing. You know what I mean? And it's a situation now where they felt as if, okay, we got to make it work out. 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 So they ended up allowing Donovan to run T.O. out of Philly because he should have never left Philly, and then that's how they ended up going off. And Donovan McNabb getting the type of platform that he has in the media, because you seen he's done TV things of that nature.
Exactly.
You know, man. It was what it was.
That's why I'm bringing up the Randy Moss comp, right? Randy Moss gets talked about in glowing mentions now. He quit on his team to go to the Patriots. He quit.
But this is the thing. But you got to think about it though. He crushed it in Oakland. They were trash. He went to a contender, and then he went to and then not only that, a lot of players go to contenders, but a lot of players go to contenders. But how many of those players who go to those contending teams go to a team where it's a scenario where they put themselves in a position where, you know, the entire, how can I say this, the entire scheme is based upon your presence when you arrive. And not only that, but you take it and you crush it. Randy Moss went to the Patriots and had the best receiver season ever. Absolutely. That makes sense. To leave the Oakland Raiders, who weren't going to do anything.
But that's not what I mean. All I mean is from a T.O., no matter what team he was on, no matter what their chances would never do that to his teammates. Like you said, from all accounts, he's one of the best teammates ever. And that's all I mean is just the Hall of Fame, the media always says they care about character, but they don't. The only people he seemed to piss off was reporters and Donovan McNabb. But we're talking about a guy who played on a fractured leg in the Super Bowl. Right. Okay, I don't think y'all understand how hard that is when you're breaking in and out of routes every play.
9 catches, 122 yards.
At the time, I'm pretty sure it was a Super Bowl record until James White a couple years ago.
But let me get off of this for a second, guys. Coming back into Kenyon Drake, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Miami Dolphins, y'all are tripping. Y'all let that boy go for nothing. He's going to Arizona. He went to Arizona. He took the spot from David Johnson. David Johnson's available.
Ruined my fantasy draft.
By the way, I hope Philadelphia gets David Johnson.
No, y'all don't need another one, man.
No, we don't really have one for real. That's what I'm trying to say. We need David Johnson in Philly really bad. David Johnson would be a perfect puzzle piece fit in Philly. Period.
No, I agree. But he's 35.
Running back, reception, Boston Scott.
Okay, there you go. That's
He's
a guy.
not better than David Johnson.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I think he's a good, because he's kind of a smaller guy, but he's a power back. Right. Even though he's smaller. Right. Him and Miles Sanders, I think.
Roll Tide, by the way. Everybody's trying to say.
Good back and forth.
Okay, Alabama, this, that, and third with the running backs, all that. Hey, man, you got to look. Now, hey, Bo Scarborough got time in Detroit now. He finally getting his look. Kenyon Drake doing his thing in Miami. Mark Ingram, 1,000-yard rusher. T.J. Yeldon holding it down in, I want to say he's holding it down in Buffalo. So Alabama got some running backs out there now. Kenyon Drake now. Alvin Kamara, even though he's a Tennessee product at the end, but he began in Alabama. Hey, put some respect on what Alabama doing in their running back room down there in Tuscaloosa, just saying. And at the end of the day, we got Miles Sanders. Jordan Howard will come back for us next year, but Jordan Howard he's as expendable right now to us as he was to the Chicago Bears last year. So we don't have a back. We have Miles Sanders, and then we got some other guys just figuring it out.
I think in the 60s, Jordan Howard's like the perfect running back because he gets you 3 yards every play, and he's never going to break that big one. He ain't going to give you the Zeke or the Saquon.
They had somebody like Jordan Howard in the 60s. His name was Jim Brown.
No, I was gonna say something like that, but I ain't putting Jim Brown in.
And we're not disrespecting him by saying that. We're just saying a 6'2" running back with shiftiness, and he was hard to tackle.
No. My point is Jordan Howard's not shifty.
Well, this is my thing. Jordan Howard it's not that he's not shifty. It's just he's a bigger back, so his shiftiness doesn't really look shifty. If that makes any sense.
I know what you're saying, but I feel like even like Darren McFadden would put someone on his ass every once in a while like that.
I'll go for that.
He's a bigger dude that looks shifty, you know. Even Derrick Henry doesn't look shifty, but every once in a while he puts a cut on. You're like, oh, that's impressive. I feel like I've never seen Jordan Howard do that.
Oh, by the way, today's quote of the day comes from the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. Extremely disappointed to say the least.
I think that comment is meant directly for Kellen Moore.
That comment was meant directly for the team that he ran into last night. He thought it was sweet. That's who that comment was for. And on top of that, Jerry wants like this. I can't even put my hand up on camera of how high of the expectation he wants. Jerry wants that level of expectation. You know what I mean?
Their team should have that level, though. Their talent.
Which is why I don't be mad when Jerry reacts how he reacts to things.
No, I'm not mad at him. It is what it is. I think Kellen Moore shit the bed, man. I don't think you can. It's not like y'all were dominating. Y'all were up 10 points. I'm gonna get you out of this habit, boy. You gonna cut that out. It's not about the coaches. You gotta make plays. Untrue, you have to make plays. You do, but if
you have to make plays.
If the coach don't put you in the right situation.
Kellen Moore calls a play. You think this is a yes or no question. Kellen Moore calls a play. Do you think that 90% of the time, do you think he's prepared to know that he called the right play? Yes or no?
Prepared to know he called the right play.
Do you think come game day that a guy like Kellen Moore is prepared enough to call a play and he knows
he's prepared enough?
Okay, then so that means that the player, once you get a call. I coach football.
We talk about this though.
Let me finish.
Zeke's the best player.
Let me finish though. Let me get my point. I coach football. When I call a play, I've already watched film to figure out what's going to work against the defense that I'm about to play that week. So I'm calling a play that I think, based upon probability, will be able to work. Based upon formation, based upon down and distance, will be able to work. Once I call that play and I give it to my player, you got to go give it to the other 10 guys, and y'all got to go out there and collectively make it happen.
But I mean, you know how it works.
If that don't happen on that part, you can't blame the coach. That's the players.
When is Dak gotten rolling? When Zeke's rolling? You know what I mean? They're symbiotic. And like we talked about, I feel like Zeke gets stronger as the game goes out. And y'all were only down 9-17. It's not like y'all had to, not y'all, but it's not like the Cowboys had to go away from the run. They could stick to the run and still be in the game the whole game. And they did. There's
a comment out there. There's a comment out there to be said that Jerry Jones failed from a player personnel standpoint. That caters to my point. If you fail as a GM, then that means your player personnel's off. So that means that you potentially have guys out there who not gonna make the play when the coach makes a play call. That's all I'm saying.
No, I know what you're saying, but I disagree, man.
Thank you. If the execution sucks, then you gotta name the player. It's not about the coach. I can only verbally help you win the game by telling you a play.
So why does Jason Garrett get fired? Why is he going to get fired then? If it's not about the coach, it's about the players.
Because I'm not paying Jason Garrett $95 million over 5. I'm not paying Jason Garrett $100.
That's not.
Let me finish. Are you asking me a question? Now you got to let me finish.
You can't say crazy things.
I'm not saying nothing crazy. If you let me finish my point, then it won't be crazy. This is why I fired Jason Garrett. I can't fire Tate Lawrence. I just gave him $100 million. I can't fire Zeke Elliott. I gave him $95 million over 5 with 46.5 guaranteed. I can't fire Dak Prescott. I'm about to give him anywhere between $32 to $38.5 million on the open market. I can't fire Amari Cooper because I gave him a first-round draft pick, and I'm about to give him at least 17 to 21 on the open market. I can fire Jason Garrett and go say, hey, it was your fault. It didn't work because you weren't there, and now you're gone. And then I can be able to bring in a guy who can take the keys to this Porsche and this Ferrari and this Lamborghini and this Maserati and all that good stuff in this crotch rocket and this Harley Davidson and these 5 Harley Davidsons up front, one of the best offensive lines in football, and then I can see what I can produce. Urban Meyer or Lincoln Riley or a guy like that or Marvin Lewis or what's your boy or Mike McCarthy. You know what I mean? That's why you can't do that. That's why you can't do that.
But I agree. But none of those players you named have not lived up to expectations.
Every single one of the players that I named are a reason why they lost yesterday. Except for Ezekiel Elliott.
Exactly, yesterday.
Amari Cooper played terrible yesterday. If he was gonna play like that, he should have just not played. Because you already got a bum calf or a bum knee, whatever. Dak Prescott, she looked terrible yesterday. You telling the media that your AC joint didn't have nothing to do with you playing? My best friend's a quarterback. And I have other quarterbacks that are good friends of mine that have had AC-related injuries. AC-related injuries are a derivative. That means a direct correlation or a direct comparison to being able to throw a ball. Look at a lot of those balls. None of those balls were pinpoint accurate anywhere. So that's all bad.
Which is his calling card, too, also. Like, Dak's accuracy is what I think he's best at.
So, which takes us back to the point. Originally, it's a GM thing. And it's a player thing.
Okay, but if you know your quarterback's hurt, what do? You call 35 running plays when you have 2 of the most talented running backs.
But when I got a receiver that I traded a first-round pick for, and you out there on the field and you telling me you healthy, I got to get you the rock, Jack.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't throw it all.
I got to get Blake Jarwin the ball. I got to get Randall Cobb some touches. I got to get Michael Gallup some touches too.
28 times where his record 30 passes or less is unbelievable. But when they throw more than 30 passes, he's under 500. So if you take away some of his passes and you control the clock with Zeke and your incredible offensive line, I think that's a coaching decision. And I think it
at the end of the day.
And it's hard against the Eagles because they're a good rush team. So I see the game plan, right?
Right.
But they got those dogs up front that the game plan, you could, at a certain point, you got to give it to your guy. And Zeke should be their guy. I think it's sad that at this point, they're still trying to make Dak that guy when I think he's good and he's serviceable and he will win them division championships for the rest of his career. Not every year, obviously, but he'll win multiple more. But my point is Zeke is that guy. Zeke is the dude that's led the league in the rush in 2 out of his 3 years in the league. He's been incredible. I just think you got to feed him, man. You got to feed him.
Okay, cool. So you just said all that, right? Who'd you just talk about? A player. Players have to make plays. To hell with the coach. Make a play, player. Period. End of story. You proved my. I wanted to let you finish.
I didn't prove your point,
I wanted to let you finish.
You're hearing what you want to hear.
That's why I wanted to let you finish. That's why I wanted to let you finish. That's why I wanted to let you finish. You didn't just say shit about what the coaches need to do.
Yes,
because
they only gave him the ball 13 times. They called the plays and only gave him the ball 13 times. He should have 30 rushes in that game because it's so important, and he is the dude you need to put the team on his back.
On the Untied Jordan Sports Podcast, this will be the one and only episode that you guys as our viewers that we thoroughly appreciate on a regular basis. This will be the last time y'all will ever hear us talk this much about the Dallas Cowboys because we don't do this. This is a Philadelphia Eagles.
That's true.
I got the wall back here. Philadelphia Eagles green. Almost.
So they made the playoffs next week?
Who?
Dallas.
No, they don't make the playoffs next week, man. I told you I was gonna get on your mind by making that on the.
But they're going to, man.
Hey, man, y'all see what's going on with me and mine, man. Y'all see what's going on.
It's not like I want them to. I want the Eagles to win.
Man, we're out here, man. I'm not trying to hear none of that. We're gonna beat New York. Danny Dimes gonna be out here dropping Danny Nichols, Danny Pennies. We're gonna be able to do what we need to do. I'm not worried about all of that. Moving on, man. Pittsburgh and the Jets yesterday. Le'Veon Bell, Hines Ward, got his Gatorade bath. Hines Ward asked for a Gatorade bath earlier in the week because he felt very confident about the fact he was going to beat his former team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Le'Veon Bell wore a yellow hooded sweatsuit, sweat pullover top to the game yesterday. Kind of just a peace offering kind of move. Excuse me, said after the game, got nothing but love for Pittsburgh, this, that, and third, whatever. I think Le'Veon, if they end up not having Tomlin on the back end, I think Le'Veon trying to make a play to get back to Pittsburgh with some of those guys that can keep that same defense.
So you think it's him and Tomlin that was the issue?
Nah, I just think it's him and Big Ben. I think if Big Ben if Big Ben leaves the Steelers in the next couple of years before Mike Tomlin, well, nah, because Mike Tomlin sided.
Mike Tomlin,
but see, this is the problem with that. Mike Tomlin sided with Big Ben on both of them situations. That's why AB and Le'Veon will never come back. So that makes my point kind of irrelevant.
I get what you're saying.
The NFL, since we're on the NFL, let's go ahead and kind of finish up the point. The NFL, Josh Gordon, I'll be back with that with my 2 cents. My 2 cents for the day is Josh Gordon. He's tripping. But NFL Hall of Fame list came out for the Centennial list, and we will also have Kicking It Old School today on the NFL Hall of Fame current semifinal list. We'll get to that in a minute. But the NFL Hall of Fame Centennial list came out. 4 names that I want to see in the Hall of Fame based upon the Centennial list. These are people that are older guys, ex-players, guys who ran out of their amount of time to be voted into the Hall of Fame in their window, post-retirement, et cetera, et cetera. Roger Craig. He was the first all-purpose back in the NFL. This man to the right of me still cannot believe as of right now Roger Craig is in the Hall of Fame. So it's that much of a shame.
Y'all heard how much I love the history of football. I have watched every game from the 1987 49ers season. I was flabbergasted when he told me not just that Roger Craig wasn't in the Hall of Fame, but that I didn't know that. I felt really bad about myself for a minute, but that's how crazy it is. I mean, the first guy with 1,000 and 1,000 in a season, and it's only happened 3 times.
Right. That doesn't make any sense at all. That's ridiculous.
He's an all-time running back on an all-time great dynasty. It's really weird, man. I guess because the West Coast offense focused so much on the passing game, and I get that. But even Montana didn't put up incredible numbers as a whole,
Facts.
Whereas Craig did.
Joe Montana put up great numbers. It's Joe Montana, but
efficient numbers.
Well, I mean,
not like and he did have.
He was definitely efficient back then. Now, like you never saw like seasons where Joe Montana was just throwing like a bunch of picks.
Exactly.
He was super efficient. But
he was never.
I get your point. I guess. But
not a huge arm.
Touche. Xavier Howard. Last point I'm going to make before we get off this NFL train for today. Xavier Howard, $75 million contract corner, highest paid corner in the NFL, had knee surgery the other day. Now, granted, this is not necessarily like a big news thing for this season because the Miami Dolphins season is terrible. And by the way, speaking of the Miami Dolphins, the NFL did a really cool thing with them having another Dom Perignon champagne toast at the halftime of the game as the last Dolphins home game yesterday, because they can now say that they once again are the only undefeated team in the NFL. The 1972 Miami Dolphins. As of now, there are 2 confirmed members from that team that made it to the NFL All 100 list. Dwight Stevenson, University of Alabama alum center, and Larry Little, Black College, Florida A&M Rattler, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Larry Little, all-time great, all-time NFL All 100 team offensive lineman. And
okay, that's what I was going to say. Offensive lineman. I was thinking that's what he was.
And
really, Zonka, Mercury Morris, Bob Greasy.
Paul Warfield also made that list.
Okay.
So,
that's funny, man. They that should be emblematic of the NFL right there. They should say, hey, the greatest team of all time, and I'll debate that with anyone. If you don't lose a game, you win a Super Bowl, you're the greatest. There are 2 players that make it into the all-time list, are defensive and offensive player, or lineman.
No, it was 2 O-linemen.
2 O-linemen, sorry.
Yeah, Dwight Stevenson's a center and Larry Little was
Paul Wolford's a wideout. But you know what I mean? It's about the trenches. Like we talked about this last. I think offensive line is the most important position group in football.
Offensive linemen are the most underrated athletes in all of professional sports.
That too, man. People don't get that. You see Nick Mangold lately since he's retired?
Probably lost
100 pounds.
Yeah. Joe Thomas lost 75 pounds in 3 months.
I mean, these guys are putting on this weight to be able to do what they do. When they lose, these athletes are incredible.
That also speaks to just nutrition. Like a lot of guys I have.
Well, they don't do it in an unhealthy way either.
Facts.
They gain weight, they gain fat and they gain weight, but it's because of calorie intake. It's not because I'm eating fast food every day. You know.
I agree with that. Segueing to let's throw a curveball in it for a minute. Let's go to baseball. Hyun-Jin Ryu, Toronto Blue Jay.
Not as big as a contract as I thought he'd get, honestly.
I didn't think he'd crack over $100 million, but
I thought he'd be right around it.
I mean, he's like 88 and some change, so what's $12 million when you got 88, right?
Oh no, I wouldn't be complaining if I was him.
But nonetheless, it was just a really odd move because Toronto has been playing kind of seller, and as far as buying, selling, like they've been kind of playing seller in the major leagues as far as like the winter meetings and things of that nature. And if you can remember, we got Josh Donaldson last year from Toronto.
R.A. Dickey 2 years before that.
Exactly. So they're kind of been an off seller, if you will. So we'll see.
So you think they might be turning that corner and make a push?
Well, I mean, they're in the AL East. So
it's a rough corner to
well, not even that. They're in the AL East, and with them being in the American League East, they're very cognizant of the fact that Garrett Cole's arrived, different things of that nature. So we got to get on
Red Sox.
The Red Sox are the Red Sox.
The Rays actually look better last year.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
years.
Exactly. So that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. Just for the sake of a name drop, Rick Porcello signed back with the New York Mets.
Talking about an AFC East superstar.
Well, yeah.
No, he was the third pitcher for a good Boston team.
He had his cup of coffee as a relatively good pitcher for like a 2-3 run in the American League. He's bounced around now, Detroit, Boston, and now he's with the New York Mets. So we'll see what he's doing in the National League.
With some all-timers, man.
Right. Facts.
Maybe not been an all-timer himself, but pitched with Verlander as his number 2, and then he's number 3 on a pitching staff with Chris Sale and David Price. I mean, the dude he's been solid his entire career. And they're
for the second live, guys.
And actually, as far as starting pitchers go, he was actually the most consistent in that playoff run for them. Now, Chris Sale and David Price went off in the World Series, but up to that point, Porcello was the best pitcher in that their run last year.
I'll go for that. Steven Strasburg for the Washington Nationals, new $245 million contract, says he definitely wants to finish his career with the Nationals, so he's trying to get even more money in the next 4 to 5 years, 6 years within that 7-year contract. So
respect, because like we were talking about on the way up here, loyalty, man. I think it's a little bit of a lost way of thinking now when it comes to sports, which I understand because it's a short window you got to make all your money, and I get the get mine now thing. But when you have these special players like your Tim Duncans, your Tom Brady's, those ones that'll take pay cuts and sacrifice for the team and hope, that the front office has the wherewithal to put a team around them and help them be successful. And since baseball don't have a salary cap, you don't have to sacrifice money for that. But to be loyal to the team that drafted you, the team that has shown you that respect, and then the team you brought a championship to, I think is really something special. So we don't see a whole lot anymore.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Speaking of loyalty, it's very, very hard to continue to be loyal as an Atlanta Braves fan when I can see us continue to not want to spend money in free agency, so we're cheap as hell. And then not only do my Atlanta Braves not want to spend any money in free agency, but we let Dallas Keuchel walk, we let Julio Teheran walk, and it seems like we're going to let Josh Donaldson also walk, who were 3 people that definitely were serviceable forces towards us being playoff teams last year and being almost a playoff team 2 years ago. I'm sick of this Atlanta Braves. Understand something. Chipper Jones being the number 1 pick will not happen again. So
not as long as
you guys got to invest. And y'all got to go on and spend some money to go get some ball players that can put us in a position of being where it is we need to be for the sake of us wanting to be successful. Period. I can't say it in any way. I can't say it in any better way.
We talked about this earlier, man. I mean, I thought they had a team that could make a run when, they had Andrelton Simmons, Jason Hayward, both the Upton brothers, Freddie Freeman still. Kimbrel was our saver, our closer. Wow, our saver.
Right. I mean, that's fair.
They had a squad that had that core pieces.
They count their wins as a closer, then the game as a save. That's why he said
they just let them all go, man. They just kicked them all to the curb, and I couldn't believe it. You're talking about honestly, I think one of the best fielding teams we may see. You're talking about 3 Gold Glovers in Hayward, Andrelton Simmons, and Freddie Freeman, who have all been considered the best defensive players at their position at one point or another.
I agree. Ian Kinsler retired. 17-year, I wouldn't say 17, I wouldn't say.
I missed that, man.
Like a 15-year career, something like that.
That's a big name.
Yeah.
People don't realize.
Facts. Multiple two-time world champion, Texas Rangers and the Chicago White Sox. 1,999 hits. He retired one hit short of 2,000. So
wow.
Either he's apparently in life, he's apparently a glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah, he was like
a glass half empty kind
I'm not Mr. 3000 Bernie Macking this up. I'm not doing it.
Now this is one of the most intriguing things that I get to report all year, sports-wise or not, for the year 2019. Umpires support plans to test for automatic strike zones.
Wild, right?
Right. Blew my mind. Now,
there was two ways I thought about this, right? It's like the umpires go, oh, we don't want the responsibility of calling balls and strikes anymore. Or, you know, I thought they would be like, at least be against it. That's their job, you know. It's kind of weird,
this,
man.
This is my thing. You kind of tested my point, but probably like 33% of my point. Like, this is what we call, where I come from, being finessed.
Oh yeah.
Major League Baseball has you as an employee, umpires. Now they say, hey, we want to test out a system that'll put you in a position to be where it is that you want to be and do what it is that you want to do. But we are also trying to test something out that may be able to help us make the game better. Which means we appreciate y'all, but y'all asses is getting old. So we need y'all old asses to get out the way so we can go ahead and find a way to electronically make this a foolproof way to be able to keep the game going, because y'all old ass eyes ain't doing nothing but getting older. So
here
they're getting finessed. I think it's
on that point you make on to make it better, right? Now it will make the calls more efficient and more uniform.
Right.
But it doesn't give you that intrigue of Andres Galarraga getting one of the worst calls ever to screw up his perfect game. It doesn't give you a guy giving you 4 inches off the outside corner during a game, or
right.
You know. So it does take away a little bit of the excitement and the controversy that baseball rarely creates.
Right.
So I don't know if I like this rule, man. I've never. You know what's funny, in the NFL, I've always been one that said we should review every play, and the refs are awful, but they really do a good job. I think people get on the refs too much. The game is so fast in all these, especially football and basketball, and baseball. I mean, the ball travels. So
this is my thing about
the amount that they don't miss is incredible.
This is my thing about this. I had an opportunity in 2013 to potentially become or start the program or be in a program like an upstart program to be an NFL referee, and the person who spoke to me about it put me in a position to feel like I was really, really good at what I could potentially do because I was so knowledgeable about the game. If you're going to have professional referees in basketball, professional referees in football, professional referees or professional umpires in hockey and in baseball, you got to have people who are real lifers and really like serious about what it is in which they do. And they're very, very passionate, and they're very, almost to a point of maybe like obsession with the game, because of the fact those are the people that you know will be able to have that much attention and detail towards the game to where calls don't get wrong. Yeah. This is probably the best example of what I'm talking about. The NFL. The NFL is becoming very, 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 very obvious that they're having people that are as employees and referee employees who aren't like just life passionate about football. Guys have families, wives, kids, bills, babies, expenses, etc. I get it. But you got to have people who are seriously all about the game. And then the integrity will never be questioned, because the integrity of the game, of these professional sport leagues, can very much so be, the integrity can be very much so questioned over time if you cannot continue to keep an honest way to call the game honestly, as fairly as possible. And per having people who are knowledgeable about how to call it on the fly, because that's what it's all about.
And about being
all about.
honest,
what discussion's all about.
This review periods for the pass interference is awful. I have no clue. I'm more confused about what a pass interference call is than I am what a catch is.
Right.
It don't make any sense. These guys are getting interfered with, and evidently what they do is they watch it in real time. They watch it in slow-mo once, and then they watch it over again in real time like 2 or 3 times to make the call. So my point is, if you're going to allow them to review it, use the slow-mo. If a guy gets there, yesterday, perfect example, Buda Baker comes over across the field, makes a great play, but I believe he hit Tyler Lockett early when he threw that long range.
We good.
And I think that's something that needs to be taken care of.
I got you wholeheartedly. So, let's go through some NBA talk right now. Let's go through some basketball talk, NBA and college basketball. This will be more of a hot take moment. So just make sure you guys are listening and tuning in. David Stern still in critical condition from a brain situation, or
yeah, he had a hemorrhage.
Brain hemorrhage. So we're definitely praying for David Stern for sure.
Get well soon, bud.
Definitely get well soon, my boy, man. It's just I don't know what the NBA will be today without David Stern.
I mean, brought it to the forefront, man.
Seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah, started with the 84 draft with Patrick Ewing, and I mean, essentially created Michael Jordan as the star he is. People don't give him enough credit for it.
Sam Bowie.
No, I know who he is.
Wow, Sam Bowie.
Trailblazers, your whole organization.
What would the world be if there was no Sam Bowie? James Harden, 89 40-point games. Wilt Chamberlain's all-time with 271. He's going to catch Wilt. I'm just going to put that out there. Eventually he'll catch Wilt.
He won't catch him in 100-point games.
True. But I've never seen the 100-point Wilt Chamberlain game, so show me. 173 and 127 are the next two behind that. So
was that Kobe and Mike?
Yeah. Matter of fact,
I know Kobe was leading for 60-point games at one time. But my whole thing is, I don't know if we ever see.
This was Wilt, Mike, Kobe, James Harden. Yeah.
Okay. And I think the only players that even have a chance is Devin Booker because he's just explosive and gets on those streaks. Klay Thompson.
I won't even allow us to get into all that. The reason why I say that I won't allow us to get into all that just because of the simple fact that, like, James Harden is getting
so incredible.
James Harden's going to break this record because he's getting 3 steps. Nobody else gets 3 steps in the NBA but James Harden. I'm gonna leave it at that. Isaiah Thomas, a really, really, really cool moment, but a very, very bad moment. But it just sucks that it had to happen to him. So he's in the game. He's playing. Guy from Philadelphia says something expletive that I won't repeat over the air to him. He goes out calmly, says, "Hey, bro, like don't speak to me like that in public." This is his point. I play a sport for a living. Fans putting y'all on game right now. So just shut the hell up and listen. Stop talking shit to people and stop talking shit to these professional athletes at these games like we're not professional athletes who are not trained year-round physically and athletically and things of that nature to be way more in a position to do something to you than you could do to us, no matter how sharp or how tense the words may be that you're saying to us. So just watch what you say.
At the end,
because it's not necessary. And at the end of the day, this guy said an expletive because he's trying to get rough. He's trying to get Isaiah Thomas to miss 2 free throws so they get a free Frosty. You're not going to speak to me any kind of way over in a promotion that provided by the arena. And by the way, do better promotions because that's ridiculous. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a weird promotion. And not just that, man, is the way Isaiah Thomas did it. He didn't Ron Artest and just run up in mouths and the palace start swinging. He did it in a very calm, measured way. So I hate that the NBA has to suspend him because it's a technical rule.
Kudos to you. Kudos to you, Isaiah Thomas. This is how a lot of stuff works in basketball. 9 times out of 10, it's called picking up the check. When you hear a professional athlete say, "I picked up the check," that means they pay for their own teammates' fine because of the fact that they stand up behind what they're doing. Somebody probably end up picking this check up.
And I'm just like I feel like Mason Rudolph's probably going to pay Marquise's fines because he saved his life.
Ramon Foster, come to find out, like somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But anyways, just real quick on that. Isaiah Thomas, he's wow, I just lost my whole train of thought, man.
Well, we're going to the Lakers. LeBron and the Lakers. LeBron didn't play the other night. He was hurt. So he genuinely was hurt because he said last week, "I'll play unless I'm not hurt." So the load management thing, LeBron ain't trying to hear it. I respect that, LeBron. I'm not mad at you at all.
A thoracic muscle strain.
Yeah, whatever the hell.
And they got waxed by the Nuggets. Their third game losing in a row.
I got you. Speaking of guys who like that we may not know about and things of that nature, put Thanasis. Why didn't you do that the first time? You let me butcher it 4 times. But anyway,
I was hoping you'd get it. I was trusting you. I was hoping. It's a rough one. I've practiced his brother's names multiple times, so I don't forget it.
Thanasis Antetokounmpo, be in the dunk contest because you're the most athletic guy I've seen in the NBA this year, other than John Morant.
Oh, I thought it was
his
brother.
You're cool. Why do I say this? Because you're from the great state of South Carolina. Yeah, we will jump over you and dunk on you from South Carolina. Please understand that. That's all I got to say about that. Luka Doncic, he's looking to be signed by Jordan Brand by the end of this week. Really, really, really dope. Super dope athlete and a super dope shoe. I think his team shoe's probably going to be ridiculously hideous, like most Jordan team shoes are. But
he has a good color scheme to work with.
Right, but then again, he's going to get all the retros in a really dope color. So
yeah.
I can't wait to see him in French Blue 12s.
I mean,
my favorite shoes.
I don't know why America can't produce a great white basketball player, but thank God Serbia
America did produce a great white basketball player. His name was Pete Maravich.
No, I mean now. In the past, yeah. I mean, Pete Maravich, Larry Bird.
Gordon Hayward, he all right.
He all right.
Y'all can't have it all, bro. Like,
we don't want it. I just want one. I just want one All-Star. Perennial All-Star. That's it. Every decade we get one.
Perennial All-Star white boy. Perennial All-Star.
Dirk was the last one.
He's not white, Nash. He's German.
Exactly. Steve Nash from Canada. Don't count. Who coaches from overseas?
So basically, you're looking for. So basically, I see you got this hideous ass UNC Tar Heel shirt on. You were hoping Tyler Hansbrough was going to be that guy. So much for that.
No, wasn't athletic enough in college. He's only a top 5 college player ever.
He wanted to work with him. He got in the right position, but he was Psycho T. He was an overachieving white basketball player. What can you do? Kudos to him.
Super tough guy.
Right. Super tough. Psycho T, for sure. While we're talking about the NBA, just going to give you the names of potential people who are going to be, or potential players and coaches who are going to end up potentially nominated to potentially end up in the Basketball Hall of Fame this year. It's a little bit of a longer list, so we won't discuss it. I'm just going to give you the list. If you don't know who these people are, then oh well, because I'm pretty sure every single person I'm going to explain one person on here, because y'all may not know who he is. But other than that, here we go. Kobe, Duncan, Chris Bosh, KG, Chauncey Billups, Mark Jackson, Tim Hardaway, Richard Rip Hamilton, Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, Marcus Camby, Tony Kukoc is leading the international group, Jay Wright, the head coach currently of Villanova, Bo Ryan, the ex-head coach from Wisconsin, I think.
Yes,
Eddie Sutton Court, named after him at Oklahoma State all-time coach. Raleigh Massimino, he is one of the most underrated college basketball coaches from the 80s, from the time of the Big East.
He was crazy.
So Raleigh Massimino was everything. He was everything. If I'm not mistaken, he was known for chewing a towel. If I'm not mistaken, him and Jerry Tarkanian.
UNLV Tarkanian, right?
Right. Rest in peace to Tark the Shark, man. He died not too long ago, like a few years ago. George Carl and Rick Adelman. So if you guys remember Rick Adelman was the head coach of the Sacramento Kings back in the day. We used to battle with the Lakers every year. We used to love those battles.
Divac.
Right, Vlade Divac and Bobby Jackson and Mike Bibby and all those guys. And Rudy Tomjanovich. Rudy Tomjanovich is also a finalist. Is also one of the beginning finalists for the Basketball Hall of Fame as well. James Wiseman, he left Memphis and he's decided to go to the NBA.
Smart decision, man.
Very, very smart decision, because he got tired of the NCAA trying to jerk with him.
And not just that, man. I mean, all these kids should have the because let's be honest, guys. High school football and high school and NFL is a huge leap. Okay, NBA and high school basketball is a huge leap. But when you see these guys that are putting up ridiculous numbers in high school that have, they're not grown men yet, but their bodies look like they're grown men, and they're tough and they're strong. Right. We've seen it work in basketball. It will not work in other sports, except for baseball, possibly. But we need to change the rules back, man. We need to allow these kids the most freedom to make choices that works for them, whatever it is.
Well, the beautiful evil of that is this. Starting in 2021, the landscape of college basketball, of college sports will be totally different. Starting in 2023, the landscape of college football will be totally different. So they've already done it, but it's just it's a few more heads got to get lumped up before the bully goes home. He got to whoop a little bit more. The bully got to whoop a little bit more ass before he moves away from school. That's all it is.
Well, I don't understand why they changed in the first. I think it's ruined the college basketball fan experience. Not ruined it, but it's hurt it a little bit, where you don't get these players that are going to be there for multiple years. You don't get to fall in love with them over multiple years.
We're gonna move on, but I'm gonna say this. That will never die, because the typical college basketball fan doesn't know enough about a prospect or doesn't know enough about their program to care. That means this. Duke, honey, hey, we got Johnny Johnson. He's the #1 player in the country. But they don't realize that they done paid Johnny Johnson $575,000 and moved his mama there and got his mama a new job. Nobody cares about that. But when that hits the fan, oh, Johnny Johnson's such a bad kid for taking $575,000. But when he arrived at Duke, he was the best thing since sliced bread, because sports fans typically don't know. That's the difference between the fan and the athlete.
And that's my thing, man, is I've always been a proponent of paying players. Since I've always said it, man, if I had the talent in high school, someone's willing to pay me to come play at their college, I'd have had a Benz and a Lexus, and my mom had a house. I mean, it would have been crazy.
All I know is this, man. I feel like at the end of the day, it happens to those who it chooses to happen to, because most of us, we wouldn't know what to do with it. We wouldn't know how to handle it. We get in trouble, we run our mouth and tell somebody we ain't got no business telling, and then we end up in jail.
Well, it's like Derrick Rose had a dude take his SAT for him. Does it matter now? No, he's got $100 million in the bank and youngest MVP ever.
Man, you had to go to college. I ain't mad at you. Everybody ain't smart. That don't mean you know how to make no money. So, with that being said, we're segueing to soccer. Right, give you guys a little more soccer coverage. So, Charlotte, North Carolina has an MLS team. I do not know the name of it yet, but I do know that David Tepper, the Carolina Panthers owner, was in the picture, taking a picture with the MLS owners and with the MLS higher-ups and the higher-ups from the city of Charlotte. So apparently he's got some say in it, because they're going to be playing soccer in his stadium.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I didn't know if they're going to share the stadium or not. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty dope. They're going to be doing that. Potentially going to be field turf for the Carolina Panthers coming, so that'll be pretty cool to see, because they're one of the last grass fields in the NFL. Liverpool just won the FIFA Club World Cup. This is not the regular World Cup, people. This is the Club World Cup, which means I think the top 16 clubs in the world all go and play in a FIFA in an event sponsored by FIFA to be able to name the best club team in the world. Liverpool won it. A year straight, 12 months straight, home undefeated streak for FC Barcelona out of Spain. La Liga, which is the league in Spanish.
What a great name.
Right. And from there, they had 28 games there. It was 24 wins, 4 draws, 0 losses. So that's how that goes for them, for FC Barcelona. So pretty good home advantage, pretty good home field, if you will.
And that's the best league in the Spanish world.
Yeah, that's the league.
The only one that the European league, the English league, Premier League's the only other one that has any kind of rivalry.
Well, you got well, not necessarily. You got there's a.
Well, the German league's not as good yet. They have top heavy, but.
Well, I mean, there's a first division in every country. First of all, let me re-explain. There's a first division in every country. You got Bundesliga, that's in Germany. You got La Liga in Spain. You have Serie A, which is in Italy. You have the French league. You know what I'm saying? Ligue 1, which is the French league, and then you have the English Premier League. The top team in the English Premier League right now is Liverpool. The top team out of France is PSG. The top team out of Italy is Juventus, who Cristiano Ronaldo plays for. The top team out of Germany is Bayern Munich, who's led by Robert Lewandowski, who had 7 goals in the game 3 weeks ago. Freaking ridiculous. And the #1 team in Spain is always an argument between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. They play in a game that's coming up in January called El Clásico.
I think actually Atletico Madrid has put their name in that hat the last couple of years.
Facts.
Not historically.
No. But Atletico Madrid is definitely they're definitely the dirty stepchild.
Little brother might get his first win in a fight. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti is now the new manager from Everton, giving you a little bit about him going forward, giving you a little bit about him on the back end of what he's done. He has 2 UEFA Championship League titles with AC Milan. He has 1 club FIFA Club World Cup with AC Milan. He has a Premier League title with Chelsea, and he also was recently coached PSG, who now features 2 of the best players in the world, Kylian Mbappe from the country of France, and Neymar Jr., as we all know, from the country of Brazil. So, segueing now into college football, the AP Coach of the Year was named Ed Orgeron from LSU. I just like to thank all of my players, and just so happy that I'm just so blessed to have Joe Burrow come down to LSU.
The biggest recruit in LSU history.
Biggest recruit in LSU history,
yes.
And I just can't wait to win that championship so they can bring us some more big old pots of catfish. So that's my best ADO for you guys.
Go Tigers. You forgot that. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. He's good people, man. That's good.
I love that dude. His journey has been incredible, because he went to USC and just got shitted on. I mean, just
you got to think about it. You got to think about it. It looks like he got shitted on from the outside looking in, but that's not really what took place. Just because of the fact that people don't understand that Ed Orgeron at the time was 3 years running Rivals.com number one best recruiter in college football. He was signing guys at the time like Lawrence Jackson, who was a first-round draft pick DN. He was recruiting guys like Joe McKnight. A lot of people don't know Joe McKnight Ed Orgeron was one of the reasons why Joe McKnight ended up at Southern California instead of ending up at LSU, because Ed Orgeron said, "I've just recently been there." At the time, Ed Orgeron was either at Ole Miss or he was still at USC. And he said, "I've been in USC recently. USC is definitely where you want to go compared to LSU, because I was at LSU more far removed than at the time of USC." So that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. From there, DeAndre Swift and Andrew Thomas are the top two guys worth mentioning right now, who are now declared for the NFL draft. Neither one of them will be playing in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor. Andrew Thomas is a consensus top 10 pick. He's an offensive tackle. And DeAndre Swift is said to be a late first round, early second round pick. Philadelphia, please go get DeAndre Swift. Please. If you don't get another running back, please go get DeAndre Swift, because he's going to fall to us wherever we fall at the end of the first round. Because we're going to the playoffs, and because of the fact that my team's going to the damn playoffs, we're going to end up in a better draft position than the Dallas Cowboys, who also don't need a running back. So I hope we get DeAndre Swift.
Me too.
So, but I digress. So, let me see the coaching carousel. As of now, Barry Odom, the former Missouri head coach, he's a DC at Arkansas now, and there was.
I feel like he's moved around a lot.
Oh, and what's the name? What's the kid's name? Caden DeBoer. Caden DeBoer takes over at Fresno State. Jeff Tedford went 4-8, and now he's out at the head. He was out as the head coach. He resigned this year as the head coach at Fresno State. So Caden DeBoer, the former offense coordinator out there, is now the head coach at Fresno State. The Associated Press All-American team came out last week.
Just note on him. He was offensive coordinator to Derek Carr,
yep.
David Carr back in the day, but also Devontae Adams.
Got you.
Watch that dude's highlight from his senior year. Just watch it.
Oh yeah, it was sick.
132 catches.
Facts. So moving on to the AP All-American team. AP All-American team came out last Monday. Joe Burrow, Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Taylor, Penei Sewell, the Allen Trophy winner, Andrew Thomas, let me see, Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin, Harrison Bryant from Florida Atlantic,
tight end, right?
Jamar Chase, tight end from Florida Atlantic, Jamar Chase from LSU, CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, Lynn Bowden Jr., who was also declared early for the NFL, University of Kentucky All-Purpose Player, and Paul Hornung Award winner, as well as Keith Duncan from Iowa. Chase Young, James Lynch, the Ronnie Lott Trophy winner, Derek Brown, Javon Kinlaw from the University of South Carolina, the Buckets Award Trophy winner, Isaiah Simmons, Evan Weaver, Micah Parsons, Derek Stingley Jr., LSU, Jeffrey Okudah, Ohio State, Antoine Winfield Jr., the University of Minnesota, J.R. Reed, University of Georgia, and Australian punter Max Duffy from the University of Kentucky. So from there, going forward,
any surprises? Anybody left off of that you thought might be on?
First team All-American. I don't think they really had a miss, man.
Derek Brown.
Say again.
Derek Brown didn't make it?
Derek Brown did make it.
He did? Okay.
Yeah, Derek Brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also was named last week to the Lott Trophy. I'm glad you brought that up. See how God works? Derek Brown, he had a very, 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 very respectable quote this week. They said, Derek Brown, you're going to be a top 5 pick. You're the most dominant defensive tackle in college football, defensive player in college football. Watch the film. Nobody blocked him all year. They said, why do you feel like you'll do what you need to do and help your team play on Saturday come bowl season, come bowl time? He said, look, my teammates named me a captain this year. When I got named a captain earlier this year, in so many words, this is a paraphrase. When my team named me team captain earlier this year, it was my obligation to finish what I started. That's my job. And by the way, Derek Brown is going to be absolutely unblockable this year. So
Vince Wilfork, is that the best comp? Or is he a little better pass rusher?
No, he's not at all a pass rusher.
Okay,
but picture, and this is a stretch. to me, Derek Brown, and I know what I know. So this is not a thing to get a reaction. So I could care less how y'all feel about hearing this. But Derek Brown was the closest thing I saw at the point of attack in college football this year since Ndamukong Suh at Nebraska.
That's a good name.
Like,
I like
and
that.
what I mean by that,
and
what I mean by that is this: Ndamukong Suh was a better pass rusher, but Derek Brown is so ridiculously dominant at the point of attack, he makes him a better pass rusher.
It's like the way you take on double teams. You don't see too many guys that can do it like Sue, like Derek Brown, like Aaron Donald. And it's so impressive that a dude 300 pounds isn't just running through guys. He's putting moves on them. The dude, I really loved watching him this year, man.
I agree. Well, let me see. And I think that he'll definitely. I think he's going to be the safest draft pick in this year's class, for sure.
Oh, I could see that.
College football recruiting: the 6th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 28th, 46th, and 98th ranked players in the country. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players didn't commit. They all committed their respective All-Star games. There are 2 cornerbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a 6'6" high school H-back tight end, 6th player in the country. Hope Miami gets him. Miami's in on him hard. Hope we get him. Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, and Auburn are the top 5 teams in recruiting right now as of this past weekend's college football early signing period being done. Last thing about college early signing period: South Carolina Gamecocks always end up doing something.
Are y'all tight end you down there in Miami?
Miami is not even close.
Isn't it, dude?
It's not even close.
Since Shockey, at least.
Well, I mean, Jeremy Shockey, Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, David Njoku, Clive Walford. I could go on.
Just incredible, man.
Exactly. Bubba Franks.
Yeah. My boy, Bubba Franks. Exactly. You would know I love him, dude.
Exactly. That's why I love Bubba Franks, man. That's why I dropped that name. Speaking of hot dogs, let's talk about the University of South Carolina for a minute. Jordan Birch, basically arguably number 1 defensive player in the country. Hammond defensive end. Hammond School is a private school right outside the University of South Carolina in Columbia. He committed to South Carolina, but he didn't send in an LOI, so everybody's still on his tail. He probably doesn't end up in Carolina. So sorry Gamecock fans. You're short of another national pass rushing prospect, but y'all deserve to win nothing down there. I'm gonna leave that alone. Division II national championship, West Florida. They're 5 years in, people, and they're national champions. They have a freshman quarterback by the name of Austin Reed. He threw 523 yards and 6 touchdowns in a 48-40 win over University of Wisconsin Whitewater. Shout out to my boy Matt Barron, man. And he was on y'all behind that day, Matt. That's all I can say about it, buddy. With that being said, the Division I AA playoffs have come to the point of the national championship. It will be January the 11th in Frisco, Texas. The North Dakota State Bison, a.k.a. the North Dakota State Fighting Carson Wentz's, will be playing against the James Madison Dukes in Frisco, Texas, January the 11th, 2020. The Celebration Bowl, 64-44, North Carolina A&T over Alcorn State University. Kylan Carter, thank you. 18 for 30, 364 yards and 6 touchdowns. It was the best outing ever by a North Carolina A&T quarterback, ever, period. You know I'm always shout out my HBCU, so big shout out to North Carolina A&T, the first ever in the history of it, three-time, back-to-back national champion at the HBCU level. Now, let me say this. As much as I celebrate black college football, I will say this. Stop being scary, black college football, and go to the NCAA Division I playoffs. This is what I mean. 2006, 2007, 2008. South Carolina won the MEAC. South Carolina State won the MEAC. They went to the playoffs 3 straight years. 2 straight years they went to the second round, and the third year they ran into a buzzsaw at Appalachian State. Go to the playoffs. Stop accepting that HBCU national championship.
This might be an awful argument to bring up, but separate but equal isn't equal. You know what I mean? And all I mean by that is that why would these schools that are good and put in their conferences in these situations not want to see their teams on that highest level? This
is all I would say. The reason why it's hard to see it because nobody wants to put it on television because nobody's going to watch. It's all about what television at that point.
I understand that.
But this is my bone that I have. Not with your comment. This is the bone I have to pick with people who think like that because I know that's not you, my boy. So I'm not tripping. I
didn't say that.
No, I'm saying hear me out. I'm not coming for what I'm saying. Just hear me out. Okay, I'm making my point. My point is. For people, for the novice sports fan who thinks like that about black college football, y'all gotta understand something. Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, Buck Buchanan, Deacon Jones, Harry Carson, like some of the greatest. Terrell Owens, thank you. Steve McNair. Some of the greatest players that ever played in the NFL came from black schools. So, all these black schools nowadays that are winning big, go play PWIs, go play Power 5 schools, go play teams and put yourself out there to be seen.
Put your players at the forefront because no matter what, those Division II games are going to be on TV.
Exactly. Bowl season. A few different things I just want to touch on with the bowl season. Boise State lost to Washington. Very, very ironic. Chris Peterson goes out on top against the team that brought him to where he is today. Is Chris Peterson, the college football head coach. Never forget Ian Johnson on the Statue of Liberty play to beat my boy Duke Robinson and the Oklahoma Sooners. That ain't Duke, y'all boys.
And then get a wife right after the game.
Facts. Got married. Facts. Big time. Big baller. I ain't mad at that at all. From there, San Diego State had a walk-on where jersey number 45 and roast him for 225 yards in the bowl game. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself, DBs. Kent State won their first bowl game. Who did they beat Saturday night? They beat, who did Kent State play?
I have no clue, honestly.
I got to check that out for you guys, but I got to look and see right quick. But other than that,
Giving our 2 cents, or are we kicking it old school?
Well, I'll be short on my 2 cents. Josh Gordon, stop playing football and go get help, my boy.
I mean,
that's all I'm gonna say, man. Because at the end of the day, it's not even a come on, man. Because you messed up a thing. It's just you're in a space in life, my boy, where you got to put yourself there. They beat Utah State 51-41. Jordan Love, also the quarterback for Utah State, is declaring early. They say he's arguably one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. I didn't see it. Had some arm talent.
I've heard he was a Taysom Hill type.
Yeah,
very athletic, right?
Yeah, so we'll see. But with that being said, I just feel like with Josh Gordon, like I said, man, it seems like you're in a broken space. So just go repair yourself as a person.
Have they released what it was this time?
Ain't nobody perfect, bro. And everybody human, my boy. So I'm not gonna do you like that on my show. I'm just saying, man. You know, even if you want to come on my show and talk about and try to come in. Matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out to Josh Gordon. I would love to have you on my show, man, so you can be able to come and talk about how you feel about what's going on. You have a full floor to say whatever you want to say, my boy, because I just want to be able to do some more research behind that to figure out why people go through what they go through to put themselves in a position to be tested for things that shouldn't necessarily always be tested for, but things that are just not necessarily the best things to want to take either, and you find yourself in some tight spots.
So the NFL did a weird thing in releasing that it was PEDs and fun substance. Was it a PED this time, or was it weed again?
They say it was cocaine and they said it was cocaine and a banned substance as far as like a PED. That's why you look like soup. That's why you look like Superman when we stretched out on that.
That's the last dude that needs to take PEDs.
I mean, yeah, but then again, hey. If I'm fighting suspensions all day, every day, who's to say I'm in tip-top shape? So I got to do something to suffice it. This is the NFL. True. I am in the NFL at the end of the day.
Oh, man. I mean, such a talent. I mean, you're talking about a dude that put up 1,400 yards, led the league with Brian Hoyer as his quarterback for most of the year.
We're at 14 for studio. Like 14 left.
Yep. All right, you're going into kicking it old school. Let's get it. So what I wanted to do was just go through some well-named Hall of Fame players that are on the top 25 list.
I'm laughing at something I saw, man. You had to have been there.
These are the 25 finalists.
Okay.
I'm gonna go real quick through the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, just because they're not gonna be as well named. The wide receivers, running backs, and DBs in this class are absolutely stacked. Offensive lineman Tony Baselli only played 7 years, made 5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros, had to quit because his shoulder was so messed up. The greatest O-lineman in the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise history. Then you have Alan Faneca, 9-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. Steve Hutchinson, 7-time All-Pro, 5-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler with the Minnesota, and then finished career with Arizona. Those last 2 guys are absolute locks. Tony Baselli it's a maybe. For a short career, he only played 7 years. And one of the things they put in Hall of Fame is longevity.
I'll say this because I got to pull it back in. Tony Baselli is not in the Hall of Fame right now simply because he only played 7 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, Tony Baselli was the most dominant tackle in the AFC the entire time he was in Jacksonville until he got hurt and then he went to Houston for... People forget, Tony Baselli was repairing a labrum when they took him #1 overall in the expansion draft by the Houston Texans. That goes to show you how good of a ball player you were.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what the hell your raggedy ass shoulder gonna do, old man. But I know your old ass can block. Come on, that's hard. That's
All
hard.
right. Moving on from O linemen, we're gonna go to defensive line. Some big names in here too. Simeon Rice, who a lot of people don't know, he played beside Warren Sapp. 122 career sacks, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro and Super Bowl champ in 2002 with that team. I would compare him to guys like Clyde Simmons and Robert Mathis. Clyde Simmons and Robert Mathis aren't in the Hall. I think they should be. As far as I think if you get over 120 sacks and you're a staple for your team for multiple years like that, all these guys played, more than 10 years in the league.
So let me ask you this. What? Give me, and no, I'm not let me cut you off, but that whole list, give me your 5 names, regardless of position, that you think should be on the list right now.
That should go in the Hall?
Yeah.
In the Hall?
Yeah.
On this list, no doubters, I think, are Isaac Bruce, Tory Holt, sorry.
Okay.
NC State grad.
Isaac Bruce.
Hines Ward, Reggie Wayne.
Okay, cool. Give me the next position. Just go down by the position. Oh, that's offense.
That's it for offense.
Okay,
that's all. And then the 2 guards we talked
linemen,
about, Hutchinson and Faneca.
I'm just looking. I'm just scared of curiosity.
As far as defensive backs, I think
Ricky Waters ain't gonna make it.
he scored a lot of touchdowns, man. Just not enough success. I think Rondé
Super Bowl champ though.
He was
2 times. 1 or 2.
I think he got 1 with
one with San Fran. 95.
I got it written down right here. Yeah, 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But okay, we're gonna go with the hard-hitting, hard-nosed Steve Atwater. Still hasn't got in.
Should be in.
It's crazy. 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, over 1,180 combined tackles. This next guy I'm going to talk about, I think he's a lock. He should be, anyways. Rondé Barber.
I'm taking Troy P. I'm taking Troy P. and Darren Woodson over Rondé Barber. Sorry, bud.
Absolutely, I would too. That doesn't mean he don't deserve to get in, you know?
He don't deserve to get in over Leroy Butler.
Now that one I might argue back with you a little bit because his longevity was so
and that's
great.
Your guy, that's what I'm saying.
And because Leroy is my guy. You're talking about not just he's the creator of the Lambeau League, people. First one to ever come up with that idea.
Facts.
And a 4-time Pro Bowler.
You're good.
4-time All-Pro, 1 Super Bowl, 38 interceptions, 13 forced fumbles.
I got you.
Over 880.
Steve Atwater might be the number 1 person on that list that needs to be in the Hall of Fame already.
But I think
over Tony Baselli, because Steve Atwater, man,
it's crazy.
Steve Atwater.
There are so many high-level football players I have heard come out of their mouth. Steve Atwater's the best safety they've ever seen.
Right.
Multiple, and that's people who played with guys like Ronnie Lott.
Right.
What?
Ronnie Lott has been said that Steve Atwater ain't me. He ain't Ronnie, but
he's great, man. But personally, I think Polamalu, John Lynch, Rondé Barber should be locks out of this list. Darren Woodson is right on borderline.
Darren Woodson's a lock over Rondé Barber.
I think because
Woodson like that, bro. Multiple Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, I know. I love Darren Woodson. I think he's a great player.
You gonna figure out eventually that ring. These rings.
That's what matters for the Hall of Fame.
That shit is heavy, man. The Hall of Fame vote.
That's what I'm saying. It does. And I think that's the only reason Richard Sherman.
To me, I mean no harm, but I think that's one of the reasons why Brett Favre got a jacket so fast.
Absolutely.
Brett Favre let me be clear, Brett Favre had an amazing career, but that Super Bowl.
And the era changed right after he left. They said, okay, we don't like interceptions anymore. Right after Brett Favre left.
We don't like the gunsling. We don't like the running gun anymore.
We don't want Jameson.
Interceptions are prevalent.
Not for successful quarterbacks.
Jameis Winterception.
Oh no, that dude.
You know what I'm saying?
That dude gives the ball up like it's his job. And it's not.
That's what I'm saying.
And Aaron Rodgers is the complete opposite of that, which is crazy. For me, it hurts watching Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers back to back. It's like we go from gunslinger to
another guy that we forgot to mention, John Lynch, because of what he's done for the game.
Absolutely. And he might go in as a GM when he's all said and done. He's put together this San Fran team.
If they win a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Because he made that turnaround in 2 years. They were awful.
Right.
All right, linebackers, last one I'm going to go through real quick. The guys I think should be in there. Clay Matthews, okay? His numbers aren't huge, but he has over 15. Senior, I should specify.
You're good just for those who I don't know.
18 years in the league. Over 1,500 solo tackles.
His first cousin played 21.
Bruce Matthews. I mean, just Iron Man all up and down this
Facts.
This
You're a tough ass kid. You grew up in the house.
Zach Thomas, I think, is one of the most brutally underrated players of all time. You're talking about.
I think Zach Thomas might be the most underrated defensive player that I ever saw with my own two eyes, and I'm in 1990.
Ever. I mean, the dude never gets talked about, but he was up there with Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher.
He was up there with them tackles every single season.
Every season. But you know what hurt him?
Nothing else, but them tackles, oh yeah.
You know what hurt him? Tackles. He's on the Dolphins. Same thing that hurts Jason Taylor, man. They're all on the Dolphins.
If Dan Marino is a Hall of Famer, you should put Zach Thomas in.
Exactly.
Because Zach Thomas was the best player for the Miami Dolphins after Dan Marino retired.
For 15 years almost. Or for
I give you fist bump.
13 years, man. I love Zach Thomas. My brother's a huge Dolphins fan because his name was Daniel and Dan the Man was his nickname. So, and then another guy we might argue about. This is the last one, or second to last one we'll bring up. Richard Seymour from the Patriots.
I'm not arguing that with you. I'm not arguing that. You forgot Richard Seymour is a South Carolina boy. But no. But let me be clear about this, guys. Richard Seymour, if you look at his body of work and his career, Richard Seymour might be the best 3-4 defensive end of all time.
I can't give him that. I think it's J.J.
No.
Watt.
I'm talking about 3-4 defensive end with his hand in the ground. He did everything J.J. Watt did except for defensive player of the year.
And except for ever having more than 8 sacks in a single season.
He got rings, Jack. 3 of them.
No, I love Richard Seymour. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we're putting
Richard
best ever,
Seymour all time is better than J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt gets a lot of love that J.J. Watt gets because of who he is, because of the figure. Richard Seymour all time is better than J.J. Watt. I will argue that with anybody.
But he is a 7-time
Pro
Bowler.
And for those 3 rings, you look at those.
He's a 3-time All-Pro.
You look at what he did in those 3 ring years. 2 of those 3 ring years, he was an All-Pro. Facts. So not only did I get a championship.
Yeah, it's easy to be an All-Pro if we're double teaming Mike Vrabel and.
So not only did I get a championship. So not only did I get a championship, but I was the baddest son bitch I was one of the baddest son bitches on the Super Bowl team.
No, I think Richard Sherman's a lock. Richard Seymour. Why do I keep doing that? All right, and then my last guy I want to talk about, and I know we're going to argue about this one a little bit. Patrick Willis.
No, it's not an argument. It's just gone. It's almost like when rappers pass away. He gone too soon.
Yeah. Played 8 seasons, 7-time Pro Bowler.
Patrick Willis,
5-time All-Pro.
Patrick Willis literally played football till he played football till he played his feet off. Literally, they say Patrick Willis don't play football no more just because his feet hurt.